Welcome to Unit 6, Day 5, Part 2. This video will show the answers to the practice problems. You should have already seen this example as well as a couple definitions. Go ahead and turn the page over and pause the video and take a moment to solve the first 4 practice problems. They look like this. When you press play again, I'll show you how to work them out myself. Great, so you just worked out these 4 practice problems, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what my work would have looked like so you can check to make sure you didn't make any mistakes. For number 1, I'm going to recognize right away that I have a whole number divided by a fraction, and so I'm going to rewrite this complex fraction as a division problem, and the division problem would be 2 divided by 8 over 5. Now, to follow the process for dividing fractions, I'm going to remember that 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1, and then I'm going to keep change flip. So I keep 2 over 1 like it is, change division to multiplication, and flip 8 over 5 to 5 over 8. At this stage, I realize that I can simplify 2 and 8 to become 1 and 4. And when I multiply straight across, I get the final answer of 5 over 4. If you had multiplied straight across at this stage to get 10 over 8, notice that you would have had the same final answer because you just simplify that. Let's look at number 2. Similarly, I'm ready for the division step. There's no simplifying I have to do on the top and the bottom separately. So I go ahead and write 5 over 6 divided by 15 over 4. Keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. And now I realize that I can do some simplifying. First, 5 and 15, that's the same thing as 1 over 3. And 4 over 6 is the same thing as 2 over 3. And these new numbers participate in a new multiplication of fractions, which is 1/3 times 2/3. And that's very simply 2 over 9. Here's number 3. Again, we're dealing with a whole number here, and that's not too bad because all you need to do is make it a fraction. But I'm actually not going to switch this one until after I've simplified the bottom. So I'm going to need to subtract these fractions, which means I need common denominators. So I'm going to multiply times 2 on the top and the bottom. I'm going to leave the 4 alone for now. And on the bottom, I end up with 3 over 4 minus 6 over 4. To subtract those fractions, I subtract the numerators to get -3 and keep the denominator to get 4. This is where that big fraction line becomes really important so that you know which of these two is the main fraction. The main fraction line is this one, which means I'm dividing 4 by -3 over 4. In other words, I'm multiplying 4 over 1 times 4 over -3. Nothing to simplify here, so I multiply straight across. 4 times 4 is 16, and 1 times -3 is -3. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and pause this video and discuss with a partner. Otherwise, we'll look at number 4. For number 4, I do need to simplify the top and the bottom separately. On the top, I already have common denominators, so I can go ahead and add 1 plus 5 is 6 and keep the 4 on the bottom. On the bottom, I also have common denominators, so I'm just going to subtract 7 minus 1 is 6 and keep the 2. And then I turn it into a division problem. This is the same thing as 6 over 4 divided by 6 over 2. Keep change flip, 6 over 4 times 2 over 6. And if your instinct would have been to simplify the fractions early on up here, that wouldn't have been wrong, and you would still end up with the same answer that I'm going to get. But I waited to simplify until this stage, and I'm going to go ahead and simplify 6 divided by 6 to equal +1, and 2 divided by 4 to equal 1 over 2. And multiplying carefully across everything that's left, I end up with an answer of 1/2. Please pause the video here and continue on to solve the next 4 practice problems. The next 4 problems I am not going to work out, but I will show you the answers. So make sure that you have some time to think and maybe talk with a partner about how to deal with the variables that you see. When you press play again, you'll see the answers. Great, here's the answer to number 7. Take a moment to check your work, make corrections as you need to. I'm sorry, I skipped number 5. Here's number 5. And 6. Number 7. 8. And if you attempted the challenge, you could take a look at those as well. This is how I worked out the challenge. This is also something that will not be on the quiz, so you don't need to stress about this, although it will be related to next week's lessons. Number 10. On the next page, there are some common mistakes. Before moving on to your homework assignment, you should take a moment to make sure that you can identify the common mistakes in those practice problems. They are things that will cost you dearly if you just make these silly little mistakes. So after you identify these, you may use the rest of the class time to work on your review guide. The homework problems will prepare you for Monday's quiz. Remember, it's your responsibility to be ready for the quiz. If you've been absent, make sure that you get the notes that you missed from the makeup work folders by the door. Good luck studying.